Hello everyone. In this video we are going to be building a calculator in Android Studio. It's a pretty basic project. It's not too complicated, but I wanted to build something in Android. I'm going to be building a lot of apps and putting them on YouTube over the next few months in iOS and Android. And calculator is probably the easiest one if you just have general programming knowledge. So I thought this would be a good place to start. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new Android Studio project. We're going to make an empty activity. We'll call it calc Android, and we will use Java. I actually like Kotlin, but it seems like everyone's still using Java. So finish it up, and I'm going to wait for the Gradle build to finish, and it already finished. Great. And we're going to run this, and let's get started right away. So for someone who's never programmed in Android before, this might be a little tough if you've never done any Android or Java before. But even if you just have a tiny bit experience, you should probably be able to get this. If you have never programmed before, you can still, or worked in Android Studio or with Java before, you can still try to follow along. I'll try to break everything down as easy as I can. However, if you have any trouble, feel free to ask, and I'll try to help you out with what I can. Okay. So we have a main activity file, okay, and basically this file is just going to be where all of our code goes, and then we have an activity-main.xml file, which is actually not this, although it looks like this. It's actually right here. Okay, this is kind of a way that we can use this graphical interface to interact with this XML file over here. Okay, so off the bat, Android Studio gives us a hello world. It's a text view, so over here, you'll see that there's different widgets inside of Android Studio that you can use. You have button, image, and all different types of things. We're really only going to use text view and button in this video. That's why I thought this would be a great place to start. And we'll gradually work up in difficulty with apps. So let's get started. We're going to delete the whole world, hello world. You can just click on it and hit backspace, and it is gone. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to drag a text view. We're going to put it at the top. Actually, we'll put it. Yeah, we'll just put it at the top for now. If we want to change that later, we can. You're going to see there is some white circles around it. You're going to drag them to the top, and we're actually going to set our default margin for everything to, we'll set it to 28 dp. If you're wondering what dp is, it's, sorry, they're density independent pixels, okay? And basically it's just a type of pixel that Android uses. It's pretty cool. It's very similar to pixels in JavaScript or on a camera or anything like that. Or in CSS, I mean, not in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. So over here we have our attributes, and there's a ton of them. As you can see, it's a little bit overwhelming, and I don't exactly love how they're all just, you have to scroll down. But basically we're going to remove our text, which you could actually also do by clicking on here. Oh, maybe not. Thought you could. Maybe it's just not working, but here we go. And we're going to delete the text, and now we have to recenter this. And actually to center it, you have to click on each circle and drag it to the left and to the right. So if you've ever worked on iOS, it's really kind of different, honestly, but I kind of like how they do that. I think it's pretty neat. And we can just leave it at the top here. It's a 32 margin from the top. So if I scroll all the way back up, which will take a year and a half, you'll see that I have a 32 dp margin from the top, and I'm in the middle from the left and the right. Okay. Now, let's see what I want to do. Oh, I just wanted to go to the text size, which is once again all the way down at the bottom here, and I'm going to change this to like 30, and that's good. All right, so I don't know what I just did. There we go. Okay, so now I need a ton of buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag one button on, and let's kind of just try to, actually it really doesn't matter because they're all going to get messed up anyway. What we're going to do is we're actually going to, if you see over here at the top, you can click on this guy right here. It's like looks like a little hamburger menu. Not really, I don't even know how I would describe that. So we're going to go into the actual XML file right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like a base button. So you'll see the layout width and the layout height. Okay, wrap content. So we don't want to wrap content actually for this, just because if oh, sorry, I keep clicking back and forth. What I meant to click over here was this guy. This button is just a little big. I just don't think it needs to be that big, especially because we're going to want to have 4 buttons like this. We could do 3, and that'd probably look kind of nice, but we're just going to do 4 buttons for now. Yeah, we'll do 4. I was thinking we'll do 4, but we could also do 3. Anyway, let me show you how we're going to do that. So this is, instead of dragging all them out like that, I feel like that's kind of obnoxious. So we're actually going to come back over to this XML file. I'm just going to copy this button I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to use, Command and C. That took me a while to figure that one out. I just do it. I don't even think about it. Okay, so, and I'm basically just going to paste this button like a bunch of times. And actually, no, I'm not. Let me actually go back. So if you did that, sorry. What I want to do is actually change this width and height. And I'm going to make the width like 65 dp. And I'm going to make the height like 60. No, we'll make it like 55 dp. All right. And then let's just save that real quick. And let's go back over here and check out what we have. I actually like the size of that. Let's run that real quick and just see what the size of that button looks like. That will update in just a second. And once we see that, we'll start moving faster, I promise. I just want to check out the size of this button. Okay, that's actually pretty small. So let's make it a little bit wider. Oh, you know what, that's actually fine, because we're not going to be putting that much inside the buttons. Okay. So, the last thing I want to do also is inside this button, I want to update the text size to 18-ish. Yeah, cool. And then I'm also going to remove the text inside of this button because it doesn't need to say button anymore. That's obnoxious. Okay, so now I'm going to come back over here and cool. Now I have a button that has text size and it has a height and a width, and yeah, that's what we wanted. Okay, and let's just, oh, I'm sorry, you guys are probably going to hate me, but there's one more thing I want to do. I actually want to add something in here just so they set it up for us. The text, I'm just going to put like 1. Okay, that way they're going to give us this text, this Android text. I don't want to type that whole thing myself. So now you can copy and paste this button, and this button, you can copy and paste it. We'll just do it like 9 times at first, or 10, I guess we want to do, because we want a 0 also. So we want to have 0. Let's just see how many we have. You can just throw them anywhere right now. Believe it or not, it probably seems like I haven't been moving too fast, but my goal is to actually do this as fast as we can. So 4, 9. So we need 1 more. And let's just come over here and hypothetically also, actually not hypothetically, just realistically, we could have just copied this button here and then pasted it a bunch. Kind of just, for some reason I always like doing that XML file. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to start aligning them. And doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to come up with a better way to align them in a second anyway. Just kind of stick them in place real fast. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. And since we have that default margin, it should help us. Okay, where are you? There you go. Okay, so now for each button, we actually want to change the ID. Okay, so a lot of times you'll see people change the ID up here. Okay, for this button, it says like button 1. So you can change the ID up there if you want. Once again, I'm just going to do it in the XML file though. I think it's just a little bit faster for me, because otherwise you have to kind of like click on it and then come up here and then click on it and then come up here. This way I can just kind of move through it pretty, well, I feel like I moved through it pretty fast. So this button's going to be button 0 and the text is going to be 0. And then this one will be button 1 and the text will still stay 1. This one will be button 2, and this one the text will be 2. So you can kind of imagine what I'm doing here, hopefully. Text will be 3 for that one, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Sorry, I know this probably is actually kind of like boring to watch me do this. Hopefully, oh, I somehow deleted the end there. Hopefully you guys are doing this along with me. Otherwise that would be incredibly boring just to watch me type 8 and then 8 again. And 9, and this should be our last button, 9, and let's make sure there's no button underneath. Great. Okay, so if I come back over here, there we go, not bad. I guess that's why we really didn't need to drag them in place like that, but oh good. And 4, 5, 6, oh okay, actually it worked out pretty well. We'll actually put 9 here. And we are going to constrain these. Constraining things in Android Studio is pretty easy. I actually like the layout a lot more than I like iOS. So we have a default margin. So basically when we just stick this up to here, it's automatically going to give us 28. It's automatically going to give us 28. Automatically going to give us 28. And there's probably better ways to do this, but I'm just trying to get through this as fast as possible. So I'm just going to constrain it to the top so we have an equal space in between. And now for these, this button here, you want to constrain it to the left. Okay, and unfortunately, this one you want to do to the left also. So you want to do the left also. I should have probably done that first. This one to go to the left here, left here, left here, left here, and left here. I think we're good there. All right, so let's just run that. No, you know what? I didn't constrain any of these to the top, so that's fine. That's fine. Good. And good. Alright, so that looks good. Obviously, we're going to need some more buttons, so we can actually put those in right now since we're already constraining things. Let's just make sure that works real quick. So, we should have like an empty space up here, and then we should have those buttons. Oh, well, that's embarrassing. Did I not? Oh, I didn't constrain this to the left. Okay. Okay, that should be better now. I guess I just missed one. Did I miss any others? I wonder if one of you guys saw that and were like, oh, this guy's an idiot. He's gonna be messed up. That should be good now when we come back. What the heck's the problem? Oh. Okay. There we go. I did miss another one. Okay, so I'm just going to imagine that that's probably right. I'll check it in a second, and if I'm wrong again, that's just incredibly embarrassing. Now let's drag in, or let's actually grab the other buttons. So we can actually just copy. I don't really want to copy all of that. Okay, that's fine. I should have made the other buttons before. That's fine. I think that's enough. We'll see. So now we want to have a button plus, and we actually want to, the text is going to be a plus sign, and we actually want to just delete the constraints. Those aren't really needed anymore. The text size is good. Oh, make sure you don't delete this little slash caret over there, the end of that the end of the XML button. Do you not like it there? Okay, cool. Put a space for you. All right, now, sorry, getting a little specific there. I'm gonna delete that, and then for this one, this will be button minus. So we're setting the ID now. If you've never programmed in Android, or in, yeah, I guess this would be technically just in Android. If you've never worked in Android Studio before, basically every item has an ID. So if I come back over here, you'll see that there's button plus, button minus, and then all these IDs. So using these IDs is how we are going to access the buttons in our code over here. So you'll see that in just a minute, hopefully. Okay, and let's go back here. Button 9 will be button multiply. If I could spell, I want to delete all of this. And cool. For the text, we also want to have You can use an asterisk, you can use an X. I'll use an X because I'm old school. And that was kind of a joke. Button divide. And put the little slash for the divide. Delete this right here. And that's, oh, we actually need one more for equals. So this calculator is going to be pretty simple at first. In the next video, I'll make it a little bit more complicated with some decimals and stuff like that. But we're just going to keep it really simple. Otherwise, this video would go on way too long. And that's good. Okay, and I need an equal sign down here, actually. And then if I come back up here, we're going to have a bunch of buttons that I'm going to have to align again. Put the equals down here. It doesn't matter fixing all that up because we're going to be cool. Put that over there. And then we actually want to create one more button. Sorry, probably driving you guys crazy. But the last button we want to create is a clear button. So button clear, and it'll say, hopefully, we'll just put C on it for right now. That's fine for clear. And we can't run that yet because we haven't had any constraints in, but that should only take a second as long as I did the last ones right now. Good. Okay, so that's fine, good. Drag this guy here, drag it up there also. Here. And here, here. There is one bad thing about the way I did this, and I'll explain in just a second. Oh, okay. It's interesting. Okay, what just happened? Put this to the side and put it up. There we go. Okay, now let's run this real quick, and then I'm going to explain real quick what I could have maybe done a little bit better, but it just would have taken a little bit longer. And there we go. All right, pretty good. I'm happy about that. And it doesn't look beautiful, but it doesn't look bad. So I would say the one thing that's bad is if I just move one button, you'd hope that it would all kind of stay together, but it doesn't. So if I would have set the baseline, show baseline, and then used and dragged that over, and then kind of used the baseline effectively. If you don't know what the baseline is, no problem. I'll explain it in another video down the road, I'm sure. Just something to keep in mind, though. Okay, so let's get started. We're ready to go, actually, with our code. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to create 10 buttons. So you can call it private if you want, doesn't really matter. Private button. Okay, we use the private keyword just to, that's what you do for a variable. If you want it to be private inside of this class, this is our class up here. It extends app-combat-activity, which is up here. This is imported from Android. Basically, this just allows us to interact with, it basically allows us to do the cool Android stuff. We need to import this button, so we can come over here and import this class. Okay. And we actually want this button to be named button 0. And then for each button, we want to have a similar name. So we're going to create these buttons up here. And we have a lot of them to create. I don't even know if that's enough, honestly. But we'll see in a second. 1, 2, 3. Actually, to tell you the truth, we don't need to do all that. That's actually wrong. Oh no, we actually do. Sorry. Thinking in my head. I was trying to think of a way we could get around creating all these, but I actually think it's probably better we do for now. And then this is going to be button equals, button minus. If you can't tell, I'm actually doing this like on the fly. A lot of people who create projects kind of have them like already all typed out and they're like looking at them on another screen. I'm literally just doing this on the fly. So if I mess up, too bad. Button plus, and then last one is button clear. If I got that right, that's amazing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I messed up my count. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think that's good, actually. I think that's 16. It looks like it, because 9 and 24, yeah, but 9's also counted, so hopefully. All right, so we created these variables up here, these button variables, and basically we're going to define them down here, but they are, let's see, we're going to define them up here at first, or we're going to create them up here first, and then we'll define them down here inside of this onCreate. Basically, this onCreate just runs anytime, well, right when we create and load our app, basically. It's kind of like Vue, what's it called on Apple? It's like Vue, not Vue, I think it's Vue did load, or on Vue create or something like that. I think I'm combining it with that. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to say button 0, or button 0 equals find view by ID, button 0, no, sorry, that's not right. R.id, what are you doing? R.id dot button 0. Okay. And you know what? Actually, I think we could do without that. Let's try this. So let's try to create a for loop. So we'll say for, we'll say int I equals 0. If you don't know what a for loop is, it's basically just a way to, oh, that'd be tough to explain in like 30 seconds, wouldn't it? It's basically a way you just kind of iterate through a collection of things. So basically I have all these buttons up here, and I want to run through these first 10. And I want to give them all basically something that we do when we click them. So this for loop is going to help us do it without typing a ton of code. So we're going to say int I equals 0, and then we will say I is less than 10 because we have 10 buttons, right? I'm not worried about these right now. I'm just worried about these. We'll say I++. Okay. And then down here, I'm going to say get resources. Oh, no, sorry. We want to say find, no. Here we go. Int ID equals get resources, and we want to say we want to get the, I'm trying to remember, this is like kind of tough to just remember off the top of my head. I'm starting to get resource name, I think is what we're looking for here. No, it's not that. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out if I look through these. Get fraction? No, definitely not. But I thought it was just get. Get resources. Get identifier. First one. That's what I was looking for. I'm not used to being it all the way down there. That's my bad. That's the one I was looking for. Okay, so we need a name, and then we need a def type, and then def package. So here you just can say get package name. This is just a little trick that there is to basically find out the resources that you have in your guy over here. The name is going to be I think it's going to be button and then plus I. Looks right to me, because button 0. And then the def type is just ID, I think. I mean, it's, okay, cool. Let's keep going here. So we want to say find view, or sorry, I was doing JavaScript earlier. Not var either, that's still JavaScript. Button equals find view by ID, like that, and then we'll say button dot set on click listener new view on click listener. Basically, this is a way to set. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to move fast here because I feel like I'm moving slower than I wanted to. Basically, we have a button here, okay, so up here we got the ID, and basically this I is going to give us just 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's not going to give us 10 because it won't run when it is 10. Okay, as long as I is less than 10, sorry, this will run. So when it gets to 10, this won't run. I++ means that it's just going to keep on increasing. Okay, so we need to get the ID because to grab an Android, and that's actually not what I want. Oh yeah, I do. That's fine actually. I just want the ID here. Okay, so basically we're creating this ID because I want to get the resources of, I want to get this ID because I want to use find view by ID down here. However, I need the ID from each of these individual buttons. Now to do that, instead of just typing it all out like I was about to, I decided we'll use a for loop, and basically this getResources.getIdentifier will allow us to basically get our ID like I did here. I'm not really going to bother explaining all this. It's like, this is self-explanatory. This def type is just, I'm not even 100% sure that's correct. I'm just hoping. And that's just something I just learned a little while ago. The get package name. This is just how you use this right here. Okay, probably not the best explanation, but it's honest at least. Button, basically we're just creating a type of button, and we're just creating it inside this for loop, and we're going to assign it to find view by ID down here. Okay, so basically we're going to create 10 buttons inside this for loop, and they're basically just the buttons that are up here. Basically now, when we get, that's fine. When we get this, then we come down here and we do the on-click listener. Basically now we're just going to do something for each button, okay? And now I need to create that method. So I need to get out of this for loop and get out of the onCreate. Okay, so we're going to say public void numClick, and we don't need anything. We don't need to return anything, so it's going to be a void method. Are we going to need a number? Yes, we will. We'll use string num. I'm going to do strings pretty much throughout the whole thing just because I'll explain why actually. Okay, so numClick. And then I actually want to create 2 more variables up here. Or actually, I'm going to create a bunch more, but I'm just going to create 2 more right now. We'll create a private string first num, and then a private string second num. Okay, now if you're wondering why I'm doing that, because when you are using a calculator, basically, you click a number, and then hit plus or minus, something like that, and then after that comes the second number. Okay, so we need a first number, a second number, and we're going to use strings. Now I'll explain why we're using strings in just a second. Probably not a second, more like a minute. Let's keep moving on here, and then we're going to have a boolean. We're going to say private boolean is first num entered. We're going to set that equal to false. We're going to instantiate the false up there. Then we'll have a private. Actually, think that's good. Yeah, actually, let's do that. Private boolean is second num entered, and we'll also set that equal to false. Hopefully, we're going to need this in this video. I'm just trying to think how we're going to have to do it. I have created a calculator before in JavaScript, just not in Android. So that's kind of why I have an idea of what I need to do still. So it's not like I'm totally just winging this. So you could say I'm cheating a tiny bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we also need to do one more thing, which is actually really important. And that is our text view up here. We're going to set this ID to result. So instead of going all the way back over to the XML file for this, I'll just do it up here. You just click on that up there, and there's an ID. And what did I just do? I'm just going to Command Z to get out of that because that's terrifying. And oh, you know what I did? Yes, there we go. Okay, so basically that allowed us there to, in our XML file, it would update because all of these had a constraint to the top. So if I change this ID, it was going to erase the constraint. So now that I did that, cool. So we have a result there. and that's going to be our ID. We don't want to go here. We actually want to go back to main activity. Okay, so then what we're going to do is private text view, and that's an Android widget, so we need to import that. And it's up there, good. And we'll say result. And then down here, we need to create it. So I'll create it before the for loop. And we'll say result equals find view by ID r.id.result. Basically, the R is just your resources. You're going through the IDs, and then you can check the result. Okay. Hopefully that somewhat makes sense. Okay, so we're actually ready to really start building this out now. So when you click a number, we are going to want to check first if first, let's see, I have this Boolean up here. Oh, it's is. If is first num entered. So basically, I put an exclamation point in front of that because I want to check if it's false. So if the first num is not entered, which it's not right now, then what we want to do is for this number, we want to set the num, or excuse me, we want to set, what did I call it? First num equal to num, and that will work fine because they're both strings. Okay? Now, we're going to say else if first num is first num entered. So if it's true and is second num entered, we're going to set second num equal to num. Okay, good. That's good. And then after that, we would want to set result dot set text. So this is a way to set the text inside of the result here. The result is going to be our guy at the top here, so we definitely want to be able to set the text in there. And since it's a string, we can just put in first num, and down here it'll be result.setText is second num. And I'll explain that when we kind of actually do that. To tell you the truth, I'm thinking about it, if we put numClick in here right now, and then basically what we're going to do is we're going to make, we want to put this I down here, but it's not going to work, I don't think. Yeah, it's going to throw an error. And basically what it wants us to do is, like in here, it wants us to say final button number equals I. Sorry, not final button number, final int button number equals I. And then we want to come down here and put in button number. And okay, it wants us to use a string. Oh yeah, we need to use a string. So string dot, okay, so we need to convert I to a string, that value of I. And then we need to change this to a string, and then that's perfect, good. Okay, so what we had to do there is we just converted I to a string here. So I is basically going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now that we use this final, basically this just allows us to take this number and put it down in here because this is inside of another method. So if we run this, we should at least be able to click the button, and basically whatever button we click, hopefully, basically whatever button we click should just pop up here. Good. Right? So that's kind of cool. These won't work. They don't do anything right now, but that means we're on the right track, which is good. Okay, cool. Next, what do we want to do? We want to make it now that we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Okay, so you'll see if we come down here, I'm trying to think about how I want to do this. Okay, let's do public string add. So we want to return a string, and then we need to basically we need a string A and a string B, and basically we this is going to be the two numbers that we want to add. So if we have A, so A will be our first num and B will be the second num. So we can actually just do that just to make it clear. First num, second num. Okay, and then basically we just want to return. I could make those ints actually, that might make it easier. That will make it easier. So I'm actually going to change these to integers because I'm actually going to have to add these, so I don't want to have to, if you add two strings together, so if you do like a string of 1 plus a string of 1, you get 11, and that's not what we're going to want here. We will want that at some point, and I'll show you when we would want that. Okay, so right now we're just going to do return string that value of, and then first num plus second num. Okay, so yeah, that'll be good. So since they're integers, it'll do the math, and that's for add. So then basically we just want to copy this and change this to multiply, and change this to divide, change this to subtract. This probably isn't the cleanest way to do it, but it's just the way that I thought of fastest. Okay, now we need to set, okay, that's actually going to work. Okay, that's cool. That's a cool way to do it. Sorry, I'm thinking in my head about, I don't want to set an on-click listener for, well, I have to do it anyway. Okay. Yeah, I have to do it anyway, so I might as well just do it like that. Oh no, but this is just going to add them. Okay, sorry. I promise I know what I'm doing now. If we come up here, we're just going to have one more, we're going to have a couple more actually, public void, and we'll just say set operation. All right, and we actually don't have an operation variable yet, but we're going to need one. So we're going to say string operation, and then we will say we're just going to set the operate. Oh, I need this to capitalize that string. And we're going to say operation equals, this dot operation, which doesn't even exist yet, but it will in a second, equals operation. So if I come up here and I say string operation, and I can make it private, doesn't really matter, it's probably a waste of time, but we're only going to be working in this class anyway. Just kind of a good habit, I guess. Yep. Okay, cool. So we're setting the operation. So now actually when we click on all these buttons, we just want to set the operation. So then we're going to want another method that's going to be called do operation. Or would that just be equals? Yeah, that's just, no, that's right. Do operation. And that's going to be a void. We don't need any parameters, and I'll explain what we're going to be doing there. And I'll actually do that right now. So what we want to do is we have a operation string up here. So basically this operation string is either going to be plus, minus, multiply or divide, little asterisk. And basically, or you can set that to an X too, it really doesn't matter. Basically, we're just going to check if operation equals plus, then what we want to do is we want to result dot set. No, we actually don't want to. This would be the equal. Yeah, that's fine. That's going to be what we're going to do on equals. Okay. We're just going to say result dot set text is going to be equal to add, and then in here we need to put two integers in here. So basically we just need to do two integer dot value of, and then first num, and then integer dot value of second num. And then basically we can just copy this and paste this 3 more times. And then we'll do else if, and then do minus, divide, and multiply. I'll put an X because why not? Basically, that is fine. Now we just need to change the multiply in here is going to be first num times, divide is going to be divide, and then down here will be minus, and then up here we will have the same exact thing. It'll be what did I call it? Subtract. Cool. And then here we're gonna have divide, and then down here we'll have multiply. Great. Not bad. All right, so that's pretty good. This is what we're gonna do when we hit the equals button. So we can actually add that in right now. So we're gonna say button, I think it's called button equals, dot set on click listener, new view dot on click listener, and then we're just gonna say do operation. And then we need to add in here for our buttons, for our equals, minus, divide, and plus, we have to create 4 on click listeners for them. There's really no other way around it. So we'll just copy this right here. That way we don't have to. And one more. Okay, so for the button, this will be button minus, that's fine. And then what we're going to do here is just we're going to set operation to a string of minus. For here, we will once again set the operation to a string of we can do plus there. So button plus, and then button multiply, we will set the operation to an X, that's fine. And then down here we'll set it to a divide, or a little slash, if I can type. Divide, cool. All right, so that's pretty good. Those are all good now, and it almost should work actually, I think. Oh, when we hit the plus button for when we set the operation, we actually also, okay, we want to do this. So we want to say if is first num entered, then we want to, or if it's false, then we actually want to say is first num entered is equal to true, because this is when this is basically, imagine that we I'll comment it out so you can kind of see it. So if we have a 1 and then we hit plus, well, okay, then we know we're done with this first number, and then we just want to move on to the second number. Okay, so yep, so set operation, so then we're going to set that equal to true, and that's actually all we need to do right now. All right, and let's run this and see what we get. I don't think it'll work perfectly because I really rushed the last part. Honestly, got a little little tight that I was taking too long there. Did we have a crash? I think we had a crash. I think we had a crash. Oh no, we have a crash. That's bad. That's really bad news. It's like the worst when you have a crash and you don't know why. Multiply. That's all good. That looks really good. Set operation. we're returning that string. We wanted to. Button equals. Oh, that's the problem. Okay, good. That's actually a really easy problem. I never created the button equals down here. I never went like this. So button equals is equal to find view by ID, and then we just need to basically set up all of these, and that'll be r.id dot button. I guess I never gave that one an ID. Let's see. Yeah, it's right there. What are you talking about? r.id dot button equals, there it is. Okay, and then we need to go again, say button minus equals find view by ID, r.id dot button minus wherever you are. There you go. Button plus equals find view by ID, r.id dot button plus, and button what's left, divide equals find view by ID, r.id dot button divide, and we have one more, that's multiply. Button multiply equals find, good, r.id dot. Of course, I don't want to use the ones I just used. Android Studio is being silly. Yeah, I want the one all the way down there. All right, so now that should work. Hopefully it doesn't crash at least. Come on, don't crash. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna do 1 plus 1. Yeah, there we go. We got 2. Nice. Oh, I didn't do the clear button. All right, so we'll just test it again. I'll do the clear button in a second. But basically, if we do like, no, oh, okay, we have to add in the clear button. I was hoping it would refresh, it would get rid of the state, but it's not going to. All right, so we need a private, no I don't, yeah I do. Private button with a capital B, clear button, and basically down here, we're gonna say clear button equals find view by ID, r.id dot button clear. That's fine. And then basically, we can create a method down here just to make it clean. What are you doing out in the open like that? Okay, check on that later. Oh, okay, I just put this in a really weird spot. Just to make my code a little bit cleaner, I should put this up here with these. There we go. And if I come down here, down to my methods, I want to do, we'll put at the top actually, public void clear all. And this is going to be really easy. Basically, I'm just going to set first num equal to an empty string, and then I'll set second num equal to an empty string, and then I'll set operation equal to an empty string. Okay, and then I need to come all the way back up here, which is just so annoying. And I want to say clear button dot set on click listener new view dot new view dot, where are you? There we go. And we're just gonna say clear all. All right, now let's check it out. Oh, last thing I want to do. I know you guys are probably like, come on, man, we're done with this. For clear all, we actually also want to set the result dot set text equal to a 0 string, and that'll be good. Hopefully that's it. Now this is going to be a really basic calculator start, and you're probably like, wow, that was a lot of time, but it was a lot of thought process and a lot of code. So 2 times 7 equals 14. If we clear it, go back to 0, 3, ooh, we're not done just yet, are we? Because if we need to set everything back in the clear function just so we don't have any errors. So is first num entered also needs to be false, and is second num entered, which we didn't even use yet, also needs to be false. So it actually doesn't need to be false because it's always going to be false. I can actually delete that. Okay, so now if I run this, and if we do like 10 divided by, oh, right. That's something I also haven't set up yet. I haven't set up the where we can use 10. Like you can't hit one number and then add another. So we'll do that all in the next video. In the next video, we're going to make this complicated a little bit more advanced. But for right now, if we want to do like 6 divided by 3, we'll get 2. Clear everything. 4 times 7, we should get 28. Good. 6 times 8, 48. 5 minus 3, we should get 2. I just want to make sure everything works. 2 plus 1. And then let's also just try 0 plus 9. We should get 9. Good. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to run through all my code real quick because I'm not going to lie, I got a little tight in there, and I kind of stopped explaining things and just started coding. But it's tough to code on the fly like that. I don't have anything like that I'm looking at to kind of get all my information. So I really just created that on the fly. So let's talk about all the code real quick. And real quick, if I were to delete all these, it's actually perfectly okay. So I actually created all those in the beginning for no reason at all, which is kind of annoying. But if you do like 6 minus 3, so basically I kind of had it in my mind that I wanted to give each button something, but then I just realized that I would just use this for loop and that would probably work, this for loop down here. So I actually didn't need to create those buttons at all because I never actually needed to access them separately. I basically just created the button in here. Okay, so I actually did not need those buttons up there. All right, so hopefully, you're not like, you're not laughing at me being like, okay, why do you have all those in there the whole time? Okay, so I'm going to run through my code real quick. Basically, we needed to create buttons for the equals. It says button clear is not being used. Button clear. Oh, okay, so I have a clear button down here. I actually did create it, I just recreated it again. Whoops, that's embarrassing. Okay, so now we're good. So basically for all of these, I needed to create them because I needed to give them separate access down here. Okay, so I needed to basically assign each button to what we set it to in here, depending on the ID. All right, and that's what we did there. The equals button, we just have set equal to do operation, and we got the operation based off of our set operator, which is our set operation, which is down here. So basically we just set the operation to whatever the operation was, and up here is where we set the operation. So for when we minused it, we would set the operation to minus. When we did plus, we'd set the operation to plus. For multiply, up, and divide, same thing. This for loop was, I honestly was not going to do this, but then I realized that all those buttons, like giving them all a separate purpose, would be completely a waste of time and a waste of code. This getResources.get identifier is just something that I saw before. It's not like I'm like a genius and just had it, like I just kind of like thought of it on the fly. Basically we just created the buttons here. That's why I was able to delete them up there. And basically I was able to use the final to grab this I. And basically all we needed to do was use a string. And you're probably wondering why we used a string, and I'll show you in the next video. The reason we're going to use a string is because I actually want to be able to hit 1 and then actually get 11. Okay, now when you do strings, when you add strings, that's what would happen. So that's why I use strings. Clear all is pretty self-explanatory. We just got to set everything back to nothing. Num click, basically if the first number wasn't clicked, I actually explained that, so hopefully you understand that, but if the first number wasn't clicked, then whatever button we hit was going to be equal to the num, and that's the function that we used right here. So whatever this button number was, so in the beginning, when we hit 1, you'll see that the 1 shows up right here, and that's because of this numClick function, this numClick method, sorry. And yep, that's good. Set operation, I explained that. Do operation, it basically just checked what the operation was. If it was a plus, then we did the add or subtract or divide, multiply. And this down here, we just had to, we made these ints because these were going to be ints up here. I could have probably done a better job with the conversion, but in the next video, when we make it a little bit more complicated, it will probably make a little bit more sense. So, all right, that's it for this video. Thanks for hanging with me. Hopefully I didn't laugh at too many of my mistakes. I think it was all right. I think I could have done better, but it's tough when you're recording. You feel a lot of pressure. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.